Hello and welcome. It is I, Raymond Modulin, aka the Real Estate Monkey, and welcome to the show Real Estate with Raymond today. Today, the episode is brought to you by Real University, and it's the first week of July, so by now everybody's got their continuing education done. If you're licensed in the state of Indiana and you haven't, you better go to myrealu.com and get that done, all right? So, I'd like to welcome everybody coming in. There's Brent. Brent's here, and Brent does a hell of a good job in a home inspection. So if you guys ever need home inspections, check out Brent right down there on the face. I'd like to welcome Todd Cook. Today we're going to talk about the sheriff's sale versus the tax lien sale. All right? Common question. I get it a lot. And as working professionals, you guys should definitely make sure you understand the difference between the two, all right? So let's talk a little bit about the sheriff's sale, and then we can also talk about the tax lien sale, okay? So first of all, let's get the major difference out, because this is probably something that's confusing to a lot of people. The sheriff's sale is conducted as part of the sheriff's duties under his orders. He is to sell homes that have been foreclosed upon, all right? So a sheriff's sale is because a creditor has foreclosed upon you and you owe money to some creditor. However, a tax lien sale is imposed upon you by the state of Indiana because of unpaid real estate taxes, all right? So the difference between those two, the major difference, one, the sheriff's sale is a creditor. The tax lien is by the state of Indiana, all right? So those are the two major differences. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and we'll get into it right now. If you've got questions or comment about tax sales or tax liens, put it right down here. Yeah, Todd, I thought I'd wear a normal shirt today. Actually, if you guys can see it, it says Real Estate Monkey. I know I catch a lot of crap about my shirts. I'm not sure of all the stuff we talk about why my shirts seem to be the most important thing. Real Estate Monkey shirt. This is some of the swag that you would get, by the way, if you send me emails with questions. So today we're talking about tax liens and sheriff sales and the big difference, all right? The major difference is sheriff sales by creditor and tax liens by the state, okay? Now, other than that, the sheriff sale happens about once a month. Now, it's calmed down a little bit, but I remember in 08 and 09 that you could go to the sheriff's sale and there'd be 400, 500, 600 properties that had been foreclosed upon, all right? The tax lien sale only happens about once a year. Now, there for a while when we had that transition of taxes, I think they had to do 2 of them for a couple of years to catch up. But now it's usually September, October timeframe, somewhere around in there. And you can call the sheriff to get the dates, or they put them in the paper, or you can call the assessor's office to get a tax lien sale. They also do those by county, by the way. So the tax liens in Indianapolis or Marion may be different than Johnson. Same thing with the sheriff's sale. The sheriff's sale in Marion County is different than the sheriff's sale in Johnson County. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the requirements for those, okay? So what we're up to right now is we're talking a little bit about the sheriff's sale and the tax lien sale. If you've got a comment or a question, post it right down here. If you've bought from a sheriff's sale or tax lien, let us know right down here. That'd be interesting. There's a third one that we're not going to really talk a lot about. It's called the Indiana surplus sale. I bought property from that, and that's a whole separate thing we're not going to get into today. So let's talk a little bit about the sheriff's sale. Now, the sheriff's sale and the tax lien sale share the same, some of the same stuff. And here's the most important one. It's called the equitable right of redemption. This is something you guys need to remember. Equitable means what? What's it mean? Money, right? Or fair. So prior to the actual sale date, you can walk in and pay the money that you owe and get yourself out of the tax sale or get yourself out of the sheriff's sale Okay. Ray Cox says he's bought several from sheriff sales. Ray, I think I've seen you there a number of years ago, back in the heyday when those same 5 or 6 guys, and you probably know who I'm talking about, were running in that circle. I was there a lot to watch the sheriff sale. So before the sale happens, we have the right to go in and say, oh, how much do I owe? And they say, well, with late fees and so, you owe $101,000, and you peel it off and say, hey, I hit the lottery. That's called the equitable right of redemption. You have the right to redeem your property before the sale, all right? Now, after the sale happens, now what I want you guys to watch me because I want to make sure you all understand what I'm saying. After the sale happens, in the tax lien situation, Indiana practices what we call the statutory right of redemption. What does statutory mean? Law or rule. So there is a state law that says for up to 365 days after the tax sale, the person has the right to redeem the property from whoever bought the lien. Okay? So if I lose my house in a tax sale, I can literally go say, okay, who bought it? And I pay them back the money, plus I pay them some interest. And that's a good thing. So keep that in mind because we're going to touch on that later. But I want to run the analogy right now. But with the sheriff's sale, Indiana does not practice the statutory right of redemption for the sheriff's sale. All right? As soon as the sheriff says, sold, it's gone. I had a guy ask me, called me and said, hey, I think my house went to sheriff's sale yesterday. What can I do? I said, pack, because there is no redemption, all right? So before the sale, it's called the equitable right of redemption. Both the sheriff's sale and the tax lien sale use this. After the sale happens, there's a law called statutory right of redemption. The tax sale still practices it. You can go and pay back whatever you owed plus some late fee and penalty and get your house back. With the sheriff's sale, it does not. It goes away. Todd wants to know who maintains the property during the tax lien redemption period. It is still the owner's until the redemption period is exercised. All right? So during that time frame, that 1 year from the tax lien sale to the redemption date, it is still the current owner's. Matter of fact, that's a good point, Todd. If you buy a tax lien, you do not have the right to go into the house. Here's the key, and I was going to touch on this a minute ago. Indiana, it's called a tax lien sale. We all call it the tax sale. Hey, we're going to the tax sale. You're going to the tax sale? I'm going to the tax sale. That's not correct. Technically, it's the tax lien sale because you're buying the lien. What you're really doing is paying the state their money and taking their place in the lien position. All right? So you're buying a lien, which is a future interest, not actual ownership, but future ownership. So when you buy the property, you don't have ownership. You have to wait till that time frame runs out. And there's some different time frames we're not going to talk about, but let's assume it's 365 days because that's the first time it goes to sale. After that 365 days, if the person hasn't exercised their right to redeem the property, then you get the property, all right? So Ray Cox says, as I understand on tax lien, you're buying the debt. Then you have to foreclose to take possession of the year later. No, Todd, no, Ray. This is not foreclosure. This is a tax sale because they have not. The tax lien, when it gets redeemed, actually wipes out everybody in front of them, all right? So you talk about the ultimate bullying law that we should have. When the state puts a lien on your property for unpaid real estate taxes, it goes to the tax sale. If I were to buy your property, Ray, and then you have 365 days to do that, then you don't exercise it. What happens is I then take the property, but the state wipes out all of the other liens above me. That's why most mortgage companies actually have you pay, remember, the PITI, taxes and insurance, because they know that if the taxes aren't paid, they could lose their principal and interest as a lien position, all right? So there is no foreclosure process. You get it, you buy it, they issue you what's called bargain and sale deed or a tax deed, and you become the owner of the property. Now, it is 1 year in the state of Indiana. Now, we also have some other ones, and they call them A properties, B properties, C properties, that I think after the second time, it goes to 6 months, and after the third time, it goes to 3 months. That may have been just the surplus sale. I don't know. But it is minimum 1 year, okay? Now, that's a good point. Yes, we are buying a lien, so it's the tax lien sale, not the tax sale. Here's a question that was just handed to me off stage. Thanks. What if the owner destroys the house during the year? Well, therein lies one of the big problems, because you as the lien holder do not have the right to go in and do that. Imagine, if you will, you become the bank, and that finger quotes. The bank can't come in. If they, I guess they probably could if they thought you were intentionally destroying the property. They have the right to protect the property. You might be able to get away with it with some kind of court injunction. But I mean, if they don't mow the lawn and they they kick holes in the wall, that is something you as the new lien holder cannot stop. All right. Now, one of the other cool things, what's it say here, Todd? Got to be careful about liens incurred from the city during the redemption period. Yeah, if the lien holders don't mow the grass, that's what I was just saying, you can get liens. But they would come in after the tax lien, but theoretically it should wipe all the liens off. It doesn't wipe all the liens above them, it wipes all of them off, okay? Now, I don't know if the city would wipe their own lien off. They may have a problem with that, but too bad, right? So what we're talking about is the difference between a sheriff's sale and the tax sale. If you've got comments, post them right down here, or email me to raymond@myrealu.com. What we're talking about right now is the sheriff's sale is a creditor issue. The tax sale is the state of Indiana. All right? Now, one other thing that you need to remember, as an investor on the tax lien, when you buy the tax lien, it is a guaranteed return at worst, or best, depending on how you look at it. Because let's go back to the example, and Ray just sent me another question, so I'm going to finish the example with Ray and pick on Ray, but Ray doesn't care because he's a good guy. If his house, and I bought it, in order for him to exercise the redemption, or let's do it the other way. Say it's my house that gets redeemed, and Ray buys it from me, or Ray buys the lien. I then have to pay back Ray plus 12% by statute return. So Ray gets the money plus 12% back. So he's guaranteed a 12% return on his money, or best case, depending on how you look at it, I don't redeem the property, he gets the house. All right? Now, another point here Ray just brought up. Both of these are auctions. So here's the problem that you got to be careful of, okay? One of the problems is that it's an auction. So if my house, I owe $200 in taxes, and say Ray Cox comes in and says, okay, yeah, I'll pay the $200. Now Todd Cook's going to go, well, I'll give $300. Well, I'll give $400. Well, I'll give $500. And they run that all the way up to, say, like $10,000. Now, when I redeem the property, all I have to redeem is the amount of back taxes plus the interest on that tax, not the interest on the $10,000. So what ends up happening now is you get 12% of the $200 plus your $8,000 or $8,800 back, which made no interest, and therein lies some problems with your money calculations, all right? So from an investor standpoint, tax liens can be really great, but what you don't want to do is get caught up in a bidding war that runs the price of that up, unless you're really just trying to win the house, okay? So what we've been talking about is the tax lien versus sheriff's sale. Now, a little bit about the sheriff's sale. In Marion County, you actually have to put all of the money up in advance to even bid, all right? Therein lies one of the big problems. Kentucky, put 10% down, you got 30 days to close. If you don't close, you lose your money. Indiana, if you want to bid on a house at the sheriff's sale and say it's 50 grand, you got to go in early to the sheriff, give them $50,000 in certified funds and say, I want to bid on house 217. That way, when house 217 gets in there, there's no problem. You get the bid and you get to bid for the auction. Now, here's the problem. Remember, it's an auction. So if it starts at 50 and you think, well, I want to buy it, I take 50 in, what happens if somebody else runs it up to 52 and now you're going to bid? You can't bid because you're out of money. So you almost always have to go in there and say, I'm going to put down 70 grand, even though it starts at 50, so that I know that I can win the bid and run it up to at least 60 and still be in the hunt for the bid. If I only spend 60, the sheriff will send me back the other 10 in about a week or so, certified funds back to me, okay? So what we've been talking about is the sheriff's sale, and James, you got me scared there. You rattled me. No, this is not legal advice. Matter of fact, I am not a practicing attorney, but I did sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night. I am actually, it says, are you some kind of an attorney? I am no kind of an attorney. That's the best kind. If there's attorneys out there, I would have to talk slower for them so they could keep up with me, okay? This is actually just practical experience, James. So what we're talking about is the sheriff's sale and the tax lien, all right? It's a tax lien sale. You are buying a lien. You're not buying the property, all right? If anybody has any questions, you can email me at raymond@myrealu.com. Give me an email. If I use your question next week as a topic, I'll send you some cool swag, and it may look like that, all right? Or it may not. It depends which shirt I pick out, okay? So send me questions about anything. It says here, Ray says, Hamilton County, you do not have to pay prior, you pay upon completion of the sale. Johnson County is the same way, right? In Johnson County, you don't have to pay prior. You just have to have it on you so that when the sale ends, you walk over and give them the money. Marion County, you got to go in early, and like 11 o'clock, auctions at 2, 11, you go in and say, I want to activate a property. Because there were so many of them, they couldn't auction on all 600. So what they did was, if somebody went in and said, hey, here's my 70 grand, I'm going to open the bid on auction number 17. They might just start at 1 and say, okay, 17, because no one wanted to bid on 1 through 16. That's the only way they could go through 600 of them. But you had to have your money in advance, okay? So Hamilton County sounds a lot like Johnson County from the standpoint of you got to have it there and it's got to be certified. So all you guys that think you're going to become investors and go out and get a loan to go to the sheriff's sale ain't going to happen. Got to have cash or equivalent, all right? So where I was at was, if I use your question as a topic next week, which will be here next week at 12 noon on Facebook, join me again. If I use your question, I'm going to send you some really cool swag. Between now and then, send me an email, raymond@myrealu.com, if you've got any questions. Until then, peace out, man. Maybe I'm out. I don't know. There's no off button, so I guess we're just going to talk forever.